Pierre Gasly will be racing in Azerbaijan after his golden rule-breaking clash with Alpine teammate Esteban Ocon on the penultimate lap at the second red flag restart was deemed a racing incident. Gasly is sitting on 10 points until May 22, meaning that he could sit out a race for his new employer, despite the FIA now only awarding points for unsafe driving, not sporting infringements. The Alpine pair headed to the stewards post-race for a hearing, but the data and video evidence determined it was a first-lap racing incident, ensuring Gasly is free to race in Baku. Max Verstappen's win in Australia cemented Red Bull's best-ever season start on the team's 350th event, with the squad securing 2023's first 3 wins to commandingly lead the standings. But team principal Christian Horner has opened up on what it takes to be dominant in F1, reflecting the outfit's ethos.
It's not just about it being a job. It has to be a passion, it has to be a desire, and there has to be a hunger and a real determination to want to succeed. And I think that it's important then to celebrate success, to embrace and enjoy that moment in time, because you don't know when the next one is going to be.
The Australian Grand Prix organisers are under pressure to investigate how a large group of spectators were able to invade the Albert Park track near the pit exit before the end of the race. The F1 field was shown a 4th red flag at the end of the final lap to warn of the spectators, who had managed to break the security lines and access the track while the race was still ongoing. Spectators were able to reach Nico Hülkenberg's stranded Haas at turn 2, which still had its light flashing red to signal the car was in an unsafe condition, with possible electrical discharge. Given the significant danger to spectators, race officials and the F1 drivers, the stewards have ordered a comprehensive review of the early track breach, with the organisers given until June 30 to carry out the task. The incident is a black mark on an otherwise sparkling event, which drew in a record crowd of 444,631 people over the 4 days, with race day the second highest Sunday attendance ever. Aston Martin team boss Mike Krack has opened up on Fernando Alonso's supreme abilities behind the wheel, with the 2-time F1 world champion able to push the squad while racing. Alonso joined the Green squad this year in a brilliantly timed switch from Alpine, with 3 straight podium visits to start the season. But Krack told the sport's official podcast F1 Nation that the Spaniard is like an additional strategist from the car.
The great thing about it, he's on top of things at all times. So he's even challenging us in the race, when he's driving in the massively competitive lap times. He's asking always questions, or maybe sometimes he's asking a question that we were having a discussion about. So you wonder sometimes if he was hearing us on the radio.
McLaren has shut down rumours that Lando Norris could switch teams before the end of the 2025 season, with CEO Zak Brown stating he has 0 exit clauses in his contract. Norris is in his 5th season of F1, all spent at McLaren, but is yet to win a race at the pinnacle of motorsport, despite his considerable talent, and is again languishing in another difficult car, the MCL 60. Constant chatter through the paddock has said the Brit will be looking at his contract, but Brown poured cold water on an early exit in Melbourne and said Norris is happy racing in Papaya. Right now, it is pretty easy, but if we are sitting here in 2 years' time and his contract is nearing the end, then it is a different situation if we are not performing, he said. Staying with McLaren, and onto Oscar Piastri, who has played down the challenge of getting on top of his teammate Lando Norris, with the Australian stating that he's just quick, really. There's no magic to it. Piastri has ridden a hype wave into the sport this season, following 3 straight junior crowns, but told F1's official podcast Beyond the Grid that there's no secret to beating Norris.
He's just quick, really. There's no magic to it. I think obviously he's been with the team for
a long time now, been in McLaren cars, and obviously it's his second year in the new regulation cars as well. So just picking up bits here and there, but I think generally we've been driving in quite a similar way, which is encouraging.
Piastri has been outqualified by Norris 2-1 so far and finished ahead once each in races when they could be compared. Norris has double Piastri's points from the opening 3 races, with their haul won in Melbourne. McLaren expects lap time improvements to its embattled MCL 60 from the next event in Azerbaijan, with 3 rounds of major updates planned for this year to reach its target of 4th in the standings. McLaren has admitted that it missed aero efficiency development targets with the MCL 60, saddling it with too much drag. But it has outlined 3 upgrades, with the second to take the car to a B spec before the summer break, and the third coming in the second half of the season. And the squad was bullish in Melbourne that it can come back from the abyss, with McLaren scoring its first points for 2023 at Albert Park. We hope that each of them will be able to provide a few tenths of a second so that we put ourselves in a more realistic position to meet our ambition to become a top 4 car towards the end of the season, said team boss Andreas Stella. Alpine endured a nightmare Australian Grand Prix, with its cars crashing into each other at the second red flag restart. But at least it had fun pre-event, with the squad first heading out to nearby Calder Park Thunderdome for a run in a V8 supercar from the local touring car series. Alpine's trio, Pierre Gasly, Esteban Ocon and Aussie reserve driver Jack Doohan, met Tickford Racing's Thomas Randall, who got them all settled before their runs in the V8 tin top.
That was insane, like a really amazing experience, first time driving this beast, and yeah, on an oval. Actually, it's the first time driving on an oval as well, and it was incredible, just too short.
It's obviously great to have the experience. That car's racing tomorrow also, so we had a big responsibility, but no, yeah, a great experience. I just love to try and experience different categories, and yeah, that definitely was a lot of fun.
The squad then headed over to Melbourne's Urban Surf to test their skills at the wave park, with Doohan also bringing in Mick Schumacher, a close family friend and Mercedes reserve driver. The drivers were shown the ropes by World Surf League's top gun Jack Robinson, who was impressed with their skills.
Oh, I thought Jack and Mick were ripping. They were doing their thing, and yeah, they're used to it. And then Pierre, he wouldn't give up. He couldn't get up the first couple of times, and then he finally got it at the end. So yeah, like the determination.
Sir Lewis Hamilton has lauded a Brazilian court's judgment in which it fined 3-time F1 world champion Nelson Piquet $950,000 for racist comments he made about the Brit on a podcast in 2021. Piquet apologized for his comments not long after the recording surfaced, stating they were ill thought out. But in the aftermath, 4 Brazilian groups took legal action, including the National LGBT+ Alliance. The group sued Piquet for $1.96 million, citing moral damage, but the judge awarded half that for the comments. I'd like to acknowledge the Brazil government. I think it's pretty amazing what they've done in holding someone accountable, showing people that that is not tolerated, Hamilton said. Team celebrations on the pit wall fencing are now a thing of the past, with the FIA banning the practice from the Australian Grand Prix. The ruling came out of the blue from race director Niels Whittager's notes ahead of the event, despite F1 teams being unable to climb on the Albert Park pit wall that is made of thick glass. The move closes out classic celebrations for race wins. It is forbidden for personnel to climb on pit wall debris fences at any time. Any action by a team breaching this ban will be reported to the stewards, said the statement. Thanks for watching. To stay up to speed on all things Formula One, make sure you hit the subscribe button.